Let's keep it up. The Bible doesn't read itself. Am I right? We're on chapter 16, and new characters are just being introduced left and right. We left off with Abram having a covenant assigned to him, promised to him by God, and now we are in Hagar and Ishmael. Those are two people I might know. I think I know who Ishmael is, but it's Genesis chapter 16. We are making great headway, even though we're only on page 19 of 17 or 1800. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children. Yikes, that's not good when you're a traditional man. But she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Wait a second, I think I might remember this. This is a bad story. I don't think the story goes well, if I'm recalling correctly. These are the little holes in my memories that I don't have complete knowledge of anymore, all these years later after I stopped reading this book. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go." There's a comma. Go. I thought it was going to say, okay, well, you'll see. Go. Sleep with my slave. She doesn't say, go sleep with my slave. She says, go as a command. And then she goes, sleep with my slave, semicolon. Perhaps I can build a family through her. Kind of feels a little thievy to have the husband impregnate another woman and then take her child. But I guess she's a slave. You got to give me your kid. They didn't have any rules back then. Probably not a lot of law enforcement in the land of Canaan or wherever they are. Abram agreed to what Sarai said. So after Abram had been living in Canaan, it was Canaan. There have been a number of times, maybe I'm just seeing it in my peripheral vision, a number of times I have called the exact thing that comes right after what I've said. If you didn't see it in the past several videos, go watch those. Leave a like if you're cool. So after Abram had been living in Canaan for 10 years, and wait a second, he agreed to what Sarai said too. So I mean, he's probably an old dude. I don't remember if they said what his age was, but she comes to him and goes, "Will you have sex with our slave?" And he goes, "Okay." He just agrees. There's no other exposition here in the text. Abram agreed to what Sarah had said. That's all it says. So after Abram had been living in Canaan 10 years, Sarah, his wife, took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband to be his wife. Wow. So I guess they had to get married. It's not just gave her to her husband to sleep with. It's gave her to her husband to be his wife because they have to be married. I guess he can have multiple wives as well. Shout out to Mormonism, which brings me right back to Brandon Sanderson, who we've talked about for the last 4 videos. My favorite current fantasy author. Sorry, Patrick Rothfuss. I'm going to need that 3rd book. If you want to get your slot back, Brandon Sanderson has been delivering book over book faster than a book per year at this rate. And he's a Mormon. Of all things, what do you know? At least I think he is. He might end up like this guy right here. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. He slept with Hagar, and she conceived. First try. Nice. When she knew she was pregnant, she began to despise her mistress. Of course she did. She was ordered by her master, apparently, to marry and conceive with this man. And now she's got to give away her kid. Then Sarai said to Abram, "You are responsible for the wrong..." What? "You are responsible for the wrong I am suffering." She's saying that to Abram. "I put my slave in your arms, and now that she knows she is pregnant, she despises me." Wow. "May the Lord judge between you and me." Man, that's a big wedge to put in a marriage. God. Wait, where am I? "Your slave is in your hands." Abraham, your slave is in your hands, okay? Sarai, old wife, your slave is in your hands, Abram said. "Do with her whatever you think best." Oof, man, these are not good people. These people have good reputations, Sarah and Abraham, I think. It's been like a running narrative at this point that I keep saying they're going to be Abraham and Sarah, but right now they're Abram and Sarai. He just gives her back and says, do with her what you think best. What a bad person. Then Sarai mistreated Hagar. Yep, who could have seen that coming? So she fled from her. Okay, so off with the baby she goes. I'm on Hagar's side. She was just born into slavery or somehow ended up here, and she is on the wrong side of the situation, the short end of the stick, getting the short end of the stick. I think that's the idiom. Okay, let's see what happens. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. So she just runs away into the desert and finds water. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. I love how the people writing this just expect you to know where everything is. You know, she's over by that road next to Shur, the spring in the desert. It's the only spring for 100 miles. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai. Man, this angel he does not care. Slave of Sarai, where have you come from and where are you going? Shouldn't he know? Was the angel not informed by God, who knows everything, before this happened? Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from? Where are you going? Where did you come from, slave of Sarai? I'm running away from my mistress, Sarai. She answered. Well, can't blame her. She's just providing context for this angel who didn't do his research before coming down from heaven. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. Oh, jeez. This angel's a bad person, too. Can't God just do it himself? I thought he's omnipotent and omnipresent. Why is he sending an angel to do all this dirty work for him? Then the angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. Jeez. So, okay. I will increase your descendants. So every time something goes wrong, angels or God just promise people offspring. That is a lot of descendants, though. They didn't know it at the time, but a human can count to quite high. I mean, we all saw, this is kind of not a good time to be talking about this, but this is that's something that Mr. Beast did. He counted up to 100,000 on one of his first viral videos, but he's not in a bad place right now, societally. I don't know, he's too big. He might be too big to be canceled. He has too many followers. But he's in some hot water. Let's just say that. Not in a good place at the moment. The angel of the Lord also said to her, so he's got more to say, you are now pregnant. Thank you, angel. And you will give birth to a son. Okay, so that's why it's Hagar and Ishmael. So you shall name him Ishmael. You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael. For the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. Yeah. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. Okay, hand for a hand. And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. Does that mean literal brothers, like Hagar is going to have others, or does that mean people alive in the world? She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. That is why the well was called the Bir Lahai Roi. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. That's like the commentary after Hagar has spoken. That's why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. I don't know what that means. It is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So in case you want to see where this story took place, it's still there, according to whoever wrote this at the time. So Hagar bore Abram a son. Okay, well, I guess she's just back on board. All it took was one visit from an angel. And Abram gave him the name Ishmael to the son she had. Abraham gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar bore him to Ishmael. God, you're a slave. Go reproduce my 86-year-old husband. That's the end. And the next one's called the covenant of circumcision. I talked about this in the last video. Circumcision, I won't say it again. Go watch the last one. I think it was chapter, let me look at the name. I'll tell you right now. The Lord's covenant with Abram was chapter 15, so it's 2 videos previous to this one. If you didn't like it, I don't even know if I mentioned it. If you didn't like the video, go ahead and do that now so I can get my metrics up. Continue doing this forever. Don't you want to hear the rest of the Bible from this mouth and this face? If you're watching this long, almost certainly, because all videos lose retention very quickly, unless you're Mr. Beast again. Don't want to mention that, dude. Another reference. The next one is the covenant of circumcision, so can't wait to get into it.